The fluorescent lights of Houston General Hospital cast long shadows in the quiet corridors as Ethan Walker made his way through the building, his faithful companion Max padding silently beside him. The German Shepherd's presence had become a familiar sight in these halls over the past few years, ever since the hospital had implemented its innovative therapy dog program. Today, however, their visit held a different purpose. They were here to see Jessica Carter, Ethan's closest friend and the hospital's leading researcher in experimental medication protocols. Max had always been extraordinary at reading people's emotions and sensing when something wasn't quite right. As they approached Jessica's room in the intensive care unit, the dog's behavior shifted subtly. His ears perked forward, and his typically relaxed demeanor became more alert. Ethan had learned to trust these subtle changes in his partner's demeanor. They often meant something that human senses couldn't detect. Dr. Daniel Warren, the attending physician, was adjusting Jessica's IV when they arrived. Through the observation window, Ethan watched the doctor work, but something about Max's reaction to Warren's presence made him uneasy. The dog's hackles raised slightly, and a low rumble emerged from his throat, a behavior Ethan had never witnessed in the normally gentle therapy dog. The situation became even more puzzling when Dr. Olivia Parker, a longtime colleague of Jessica's, approached Ethan with concern etched across her face. "There's something odd about Jess's medical charts," she whispered, glancing around to ensure they weren't overheard. "The treatment protocol has been altered, but I didn't authorize any changes, and neither did anyone else on her primary care team." As if to confirm their suspicions, Max remained fixated on Dr. Warren, his body tense and alert. Ethan had worked with therapy dogs long enough to know that their instincts were rarely wrong. These animals could sense changes in human biochemistry, detect illness, and even anticipate medical emergencies. Max's behavior suggested something beyond simple unease. It was as if he recognized a threat that none of the humans could see. When Olivia attempted to access Jessica's digital records to investigate further, she found herself locked out of the system. "This has never happened before," she muttered, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Something's definitely not right here." The mystery deepened when they discovered that Dr. Warren's credentials couldn't be verified through the hospital's standard documentation. His employee ID showed inconsistencies, and his medical license number didn't match the state database. Yet somehow, he had gained access to one of the most sensitive areas of the hospital and was administering treatments to a senior researcher. As evening approached, the hospital's routine continued around them. But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that they were watching the first acts of a carefully orchestrated plan unfold. Jessica's research had always been groundbreaking. Her work in developing new therapeutic protocols had earned her international recognition. But what if she had discovered something that certain people wanted to keep hidden? Max's unwavering attention to Dr. Warren seemed to confirm these suspicions. The dog's training in therapy work had given him an almost supernatural ability to read human intentions. And right now, every fiber of his being was focused on the man who claimed to be Jessica's doctor. The truth about Warren's identity and his connection to Jessica's condition remained elusive, but one thing was becoming increasingly clear. Max's instincts had stumbled upon something much bigger than a simple case of medical malpractice. As the sun set over Houston, casting long shadows through the hospital windows, Ethan realized that he and Max were now entangled in a mystery that would test not only their partnership, but also their understanding of loyalty, truth, and the complex web of relationships that defined their lives at Houston General. If this story has caught your interest, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give it a like. Tell us which city you're watching from. Let's continue. The following morning brought more questions than answers to Houston General Hospital. Dr. Olivia Parker had spent most of the night reviewing Jessica's research files, and what she discovered sent chills down her spine. The experimental therapy protocols Jessica had been developing showed remarkable success rates in preliminary trials, perhaps too remarkable. Several of the recovery cases defied conventional medical understanding, and the biochemical markers in the patient's blood work suggested something unprecedented was happening at a cellular level. Ethan noticed the change in Max's behavior as soon as they entered the hospital that morning. The German shepherd's usual calm demeanor had been replaced by an intense focus, his nose working overtime as they made their way through the corridors. It was as if he could sense the growing tension in the air, the invisible threads of conspiracy tightening around them. Doctor Warren appeared more agitated than usual during his morning rounds. His hands trembled slightly as he checked Jessica's vital signs, and he nearly jumped when Max let out a low whine. The dog's reaction to Warren hadn't changed. If anything, it had intensified. Ethan watched as Max positioned himself between Warren and Jessica's bed, his protective instincts on full display. "I've found something interesting," Olivia whispered to Ethan when Warren finally left the room. She pulled out a tablet and showed him a series of lab results. "These are from Jessica's last experiment. Look at the cellular regeneration rates. They're off the charts. She was onto something revolutionary, something that could change the face of modern medicine. But then I found this." She swiped to another screen, showing a series of emails between Jessica and the hospital board. The correspondence revealed a growing conflict between Jessica and certain board members over the direction of her research. She had expressed concerns about unauthorized modifications to her protocols, suggesting that someone was tampering with her work. The last email, sent just days before her mysterious condition, mentioned her intention to present evidence of ethical violations to the medical board. As they discussed these findings, Max suddenly became alert, his ears pricking forward. Through the window, they could see Hospital Administrator Thomas Bennett having an intense conversation with Dr. Warren in the hallway. The two men appeared to be arguing, their gestures becoming increasingly animated. Max's reaction to Bennett was similar to his response to Warren, a clear sign that something connected these two men beyond their professional relationship. The situation took another turn when Olivia discovered that her access to the hospital's research database had been revoked. "This isn't normal protocol," she explained, frustration evident in her voice. "Even for sensitive cases, senior researchers maintain their clearance. Someone's actively trying to prevent us from discovering something." Later that afternoon, while Ethan was reviewing security footage from the days leading up to Jessica's condition, he noticed something peculiar. The cameras in the research wing had experienced brief outages at specific times, all coinciding with late-night visits from unmarked pharmaceutical delivery vehicles. Max, who had been dozing at Ethan's feet, suddenly lifted his head and stared intently at the screen, as if he recognized something significant in those grainy images. The mystery deepened when several of Jessica's research assistants came forward with strange stories about recent events in the lab. They spoke of unauthorized personnel accessing restricted areas, missing samples, and modified test results. One assistant mentioned overhearing a heated phone conversation where Jessica had said, "I won't let them compromise patient safety for profit. There are lines we don't cross." As evening approached, Max's behavior became increasingly protective of Jessica's room. The dog refused to leave her side, even when Ethan attempted to take him for his usual break. It was as if he sensed that the danger was growing, that the forces working against them were preparing to make their next move. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. Jessica's condition remained unchanged, but the web of secrets surrounding her research seemed to be drawing tighter by the hour. Whatever she had discovered in her experiments, whatever truth she had been about to reveal, there were powerful people who wanted it to remain hidden. The next morning brought an unexpected development to Houston General Hospital. While reviewing Jessica's research files, Olivia discovered a hidden folder containing encrypted data about a series of unofficial clinical trials. The results were astounding. Patients with previously untreatable conditions showing remarkable improvements after receiving an experimental therapy that Jessica had developed. But something about the data patterns seemed off, suggesting that the original protocols had been altered without her knowledge. Max's behavior had become increasingly significant in unraveling the mystery. The therapy dog's extraordinary ability to detect biochemical changes had made him an integral part of Jessica's research team, helping to identify patients who responded positively to the experimental treatments. Now, his reactions to certain hospital staff members were painting a disturbing picture of who might be involved in tampering with her work. During their morning rounds, Ethan and Max encountered Dr. Bennett in Jessica's room, allegedly performing a routine administrative review. The German Shepherd's reaction was immediate and unmistakable. The same alert posture he displayed around Dr. Warren. What caught Ethan's attention, however, was the document Bennett hastily tucked into his briefcase upon their arrival. Through the partially open case, Ethan glimpsed what appeared to be correspondence with Helix Pharmaceuticals, a company known for its aggressive acquisition of promising medical research. "I think I understand what's happening," Olivia confided in Ethan later that day, her voice barely above a whisper as they sat in her office. Jessica's research wasn't just groundbreaking, it was revolutionary. She discovered a way to enhance the body's natural healing processes without harmful side effects. But someone's been modifying her protocols, trying to accelerate the results for commercial gain, regardless of the potential risks to patients. As if to confirm their suspicions, Max led them to the hospital's research wing, an area he knew well from his years of working with Jessica. The dog's behavior changed dramatically as they approached a supposedly vacant laboratory. His nose worked overtime, and he pawed at the door insistently. When they managed to gain access, they found evidence of recent activity, unauthorized experiments being conducted in secret, away from the oversight of the hospital's ethics committee. The situation became more complex when Sarah Chen, one of Jessica's most trusted research assistants, revealed that she had been pressured to modify clinical trial data. They wanted the results to look more promising than they actually were, she explained, nervously glancing over her shoulder. When Jessica discovered the alterations, she threatened to expose everything. The next day, she was found unconscious in her office. That evening, while reviewing security footage from the night Jessica was found, Ethan noticed something peculiar. The cameras showed Dr. Warren entering her office, carrying what appeared to be routine medical supplies. However, Max's reaction to the footage was anything but routine. The dog growled at the screen, recognizing something that human eyes had missed. The pieces were starting to fall into place. Jessica's revolutionary research had attracted the attention of powerful pharmaceutical interests represented by Bennett and his associates. They saw an opportunity to profit from her discoveries, but her insistence on proper protocols and patient safety stood in their way. Rather than wait for the careful process of clinical trials, they had attempted to accelerate the research through unauthorized modifications. As night fell over Houston General, Ethan and Olivia realized they were sitting on explosive evidence of corporate manipulation and ethical violations. The question was no longer what had happened to Jessica, but what she had discovered that made her such a threat to their plans. Max's unwavering vigilance suggested that the danger hadn't passed. If anything, their investigation had placed them squarely in the crosshairs of those who wanted to keep the truth hidden. The therapy dog's extraordinary instincts had already proven invaluable in unraveling the mystery, but Ethan sensed that Max's most important role was yet to come. As they watched over Jessica's unconscious form, the dog's attention suddenly shifted to the window, where a shadow moved against the darkening sky. Someone was watching them, and Max's reaction suggested they needed to act fast before all evidence of the conspiracy disappeared forever. The early hours at Houston General brought an unexpected breakthrough. While monitoring Jessica's vital signs, Olivia noticed subtle changes in her brain activity patterns that coincided with Max's increasingly protective behavior. The therapy dog had refused to leave Jessica's side for the past 24 hours, his attention focused on her with an intensity that suggested he sensed something the medical equipment couldn't detect. "Look at these readings," Olivia said, pointing to the neural activity display. "They're not random fluctuations, they're responses. Jessica is trying to communicate." The discovery sent a surge of hope through the room, but it also raised alarming questions about why she remained unconscious. Max's reaction to Dr. Warren's morning rounds had become more aggressive, his hackles raising whenever the physician approached with new medications. Sarah Chen had spent the night analyzing the modified research protocols and made a startling discovery. The alterations weren't just about accelerating results, she explained, spreading documents across Olivia's desk. They were systematically removing safety constraints that Jessica had built into the treatment. The enhanced healing properties of her therapy were being pushed beyond their intended limits, turning a revolutionary medical breakthrough into something potentially dangerous. The situation reached a turning point when Administrator Bennett called an emergency board meeting to discuss the future of Jessica's research program. Through careful manipulation of hospital politics, he had positioned himself to take control of her work. What he didn't expect was Max's reaction to the presentation folders he distributed. The therapy dog's keen nose detected something that sent him into an alert stance, drawing Ethan's attention to the paper stock itself. Under ultraviolet light, the folders revealed watermarks from Helix Pharmaceuticals, dated weeks before Jessica's incident. The company had been preparing to acquire her research long before she was found unconscious, suggesting a premeditated plan to take control of her discoveries. When Olivia accessed Jessica's private research notes, she found documented concerns about corporate espionage and unauthorized access to her laboratory. That afternoon, while reviewing security footage with enhanced audio, they caught a conversation between Warren and Bennett that changed everything. "The protocol modifications are irreversible now," Warren was saying. "Once the board signs off on the transfer, no one will look too closely at the original research parameters. Carter's objections won't matter anymore." The reality of what they were facing became clear. Jessica had discovered that her therapy was being weaponized for profit, turned from a careful, patient-focused treatment into a rushed commercial product. Her refusal to compromise patient safety had made her an obstacle to those who saw only the financial potential of her work. Max's behavior shifted dramatically when a team of specialists arrived from Helix Pharmaceuticals, allegedly to evaluate Jessica's condition. The therapy dog planted himself firmly between them and Jessica's bed, his training as a medical assistant giving way to pure protective instinct. His reaction confirmed what Ethan and Olivia had begun to suspect. These weren't medical professionals at all, but corporate agents sent to ensure Jessica wouldn't interfere with their plans. As evening approached, Sarah made another crucial discovery in the lab. Hidden behind Jessica's official research files was evidence of unauthorized trials conducted by Warren and Bennett, testing dangerously accelerated versions of her therapy. The results were horrifying, test subjects experiencing severe adverse reactions that had been carefully concealed from hospital records. The stakes became personal when Olivia found herself locked out of the hospital's medical database, her security credentials suddenly revoked. Minutes later, Max's agitation reached new levels as he detected movement in the supposedly empty research wing. Through the laboratory windows, they glimpsed figures in corporate attire, methodically removing evidence of the unauthorized experiments. Time was running out. Jessica's vital signs had begun showing patterns that suggested she was fighting to regain consciousness, but someone had programmed her medication doses to keep her sedated. Max's extraordinary senses had been warning them all along. The very people tasked with Jessica's care were working to ensure she wouldn't expose their corruption. A power surge in Houston General's East Wing created the perfect diversion. As backup generators hummed to life, Ethan noticed Max's behavior shift from alertness to absolute certainty. The therapy dog's training had always made him exceptional at reading situations, but this was different. He was trying to tell them something specific about Jessica's condition. Olivia had been monitoring Jessica's neural patterns when the power fluctuated, and what she saw in those few seconds changed everything. The medication's suppressing her consciousness. It's not just keeping her under, she explained, her fingers flying across the keyboard. It's preventing her from revealing something she discovered about the modified protocols. Look at these cognitive response patterns during the power interruption. The brief disruption in the medication delivery system had caused a spike in Jessica's brain activity. Max's reaction was immediate. He placed his paw gently on Jessica's hand, a behavior he had been trained to use when detecting important medical changes in patients. The dog's incredible sensitivity to biochemical shifts had made him an invaluable part of Jessica's research team, and now it might help save her. Sarah Chen arrived breathless with a breakthrough discovery. Hidden in Jessica's private research notes, encrypted within seemingly routine data, was evidence of what she had uncovered before her mysterious condition. The modified protocols weren't just dangerous, Sarah explained, spreading the decoded documents across the desk. They were deliberately engineered to create dependency. Helix Pharmaceuticals wasn't just trying to profit from the therapy, they were designing it to make patients reliant on continuous treatment. The revelation struck like a thunderbolt. Jessica's original research had focused on enhancing the body's natural healing abilities, creating a one-time therapeutic intervention that would permanently improve patient outcomes. But the corporate modifications transformed it into something insidious, a treatment that would require endless doses, generating perpetual profits for the pharmaceutical company. As they processed this information, Max suddenly became agitated, focusing intently on the hospital corridor. Through the window, they saw Bennett and Warren in an intense discussion with executives from Helix Pharmaceuticals. The conversation was heated, with Bennett gesturing angrily at papers in his hand. Max's reaction to the group confirmed their worst fears. These were the architects of the conspiracy. Olivia made a decisive move. Using her remaining access to the hospital's systems, she began systematically documenting everything they had discovered. "We need to get this information to the hospital's ethics board immediately," she said, her voice steady despite the tension. "But more importantly, we need to wake Jessica up safely. Her testimony is crucial." The challenge was finding a way to counteract the medication, keeping Jessica unconscious without causing her harm. This was where Max's extraordinary abilities proved invaluable. The therapy dog had been trained to detect subtle changes in patient conditions, and his reactions helped guide Olivia in adjusting Jessica's treatment. As evening fell, their efforts began showing results. Jessica's neural patterns strengthened, showing signs of increasing consciousness. Max remained by her side, his behavior becoming more excited as he sensed the changes in her condition. But they weren't the only ones noticing these developments. Security cameras caught Bennett making urgent phone calls, and mysterious figures in suits began appearing in the hospital corridors. The corporate machine was mobilizing, realizing their carefully constructed plan was unraveling. They had underestimated the dedication of Jessica's colleagues and the extraordinary abilities of a therapy dog who had become far more than just a medical assistant. In Jessica's lab, Sarah discovered one final piece of evidence: a hidden camera Jessica had installed after suspecting unauthorized access to her research. The footage it contained would prove to be the key to unraveling the entire conspiracy. But first, they had to ensure Jessica would wake up to tell her side of the story. As night settled over Houston General, the tension reached a breaking point. Max's attention was divided between guarding Jessica and tracking movement in the corridor, his training and instincts working in perfect harmony. The next few hours would determine not just Jessica's fate, but the future of her groundbreaking research and the lives of countless patients who deserved to benefit from her genuine, uncompromised work. The dawn broke over Houston General with a sense of anticipation. Jessica's vital signs had been steadily improving throughout the night, and Max hadn't left her side for a moment. The therapy dog's behavior had shifted from protective alertness to excited anticipation. He could sense she was finally coming back to consciousness. Olivia had worked through the night, carefully adjusting Jessica's medication under Max's watchful guidance. The dog's incredible ability to detect physiological changes had proven invaluable in safely reversing the effects of the sedatives. As the morning light filtered through the windows, Jessica's eyes fluttered open for the first time in weeks. "The protocols," she whispered, her voice weak but urgent. "They're trying to modify the healing factors." Max immediately responded to her voice, gently nuzzling her hand, a gesture that brought tears to her eyes. The bond between the researcher and the therapy dog, who had helped develop her revolutionary treatment, was unbreakable. Before Bennett and his corporate allies could react to Jessica's awakening, Sarah had already transmitted the complete evidence package to the hospital's ethics board and several trusted medical oversight committees. The hidden camera footage from Jessica's lab proved decisive, showing unauthorized access and deliberate tampering with her research protocols. "I discovered they were altering the cellular regeneration patterns," Jessica explained to the hastily convened emergency board meeting. "My therapy was designed to work with the body's natural healing process, but they were modifying it to create artificial dependence. They wanted to turn a cure into a perpetual treatment cycle." The corporate executives from Helix Pharmaceuticals arrived to find their carefully constructed plan in shambles. The evidence was irrefutable. Internal emails, modified research data, and unauthorized trial results all pointed to a deliberate attempt to corrupt Jessica's breakthrough therapy for profit. Bennett's face turned ashen as his role in the conspiracy became clear to his colleagues. Max's extraordinary contributions didn't go unnoticed. The therapy dog's ability to detect biochemical changes had not only helped monitor Jessica's condition, but had also played a crucial role in identifying tampered medications and unauthorized experiments. The hospital board voted unanimously to expand the therapy dog program, recognizing the invaluable role these trained animals could play in patient care and medical research. In the aftermath, Jessica's original research protocols were restored and properly documented. Her therapy would remain true to its original purpose, helping patients heal naturally without creating dependency. The hospital established new oversight measures to prevent corporate interference in medical research, with therapy dogs like Max becoming an integral part of the security and monitoring system. Olivia was promoted to head of research integrity, while Sarah's role in exposing the conspiracy earned her a position as Jessica's primary research partner. Together, they would continue to advance medical science with an unwavering commitment to patient welfare over profit. As for Max, his already impressive reputation grew into something of a legend at Houston General. The therapy dog, who had helped develop a revolutionary medical treatment, had also protected its integrity, demonstrating that sometimes the most powerful guardians of truth come with 4 legs and an unwavering heart. The story of Jessica's breakthrough therapy and its protection from corporate corruption became a testament to the power of dedication, integrity, and the extraordinary bonds between humans and their canine companions. In the end, it wasn't just about saving a revolutionary medical treatment, it was about preserving the trust between medical professionals and the patients they serve. As Jessica resumed her work, now with Max ever vigilant by her side, she couldn't help but smile at how a therapy dog's extraordinary instincts had helped uncover the truth and protect her life's work. The future of medicine would be brighter because of their combined efforts, proving that the most powerful healing comes from understanding and working with nature, not trying to control it for profit. End of story. Dear listeners, we hope the extraordinary tale of Jessica, Max, and their fight for medical integrity has touched your hearts. This story reminds us that sometimes our most loyal guardians come in unexpected forms, and that truth and integrity will always prevail. For more inspiring stories that explore the remarkable bonds between humans and animals and tales of courage in the face of adversity, subscribe to our channel and click the like button below. Join our growing community where we share daily stories that celebrate the triumph of truth over greed and the extraordinary capabilities of our 4-legged friends. Don't forget to leave a comment sharing your own experiences with therapy animals or medical heroes. Together, we're building a platform that honors those who stand up for what's right, no matter the cost. Stay tuned for our next episode. Another powerful story awaits.